Hello, once Joshua here again. The opinions presented here in my video journal are mine exclusively and in no way, shape, or form represent any views of the United States government or the Peace Corps program. So thank you for coming back. It's been several months since I've done any kind of video journal update. So very quickly, hopefully, I will try to ramble on and talk about my first few months here at site. So I am a higher education volunteer with the Peace Corps program. I have been placed in university. For security's sake, I'm going to use the local term and call it Megalinsky. And for me, it's really a great fit. I feel very lucky to be where I am working with who I am. So the Peace Corps program sets everyone up with a local Ukrainian counterpart. My counterpart is wonderful. She's a great teacher, and she's very helpful for me in my personal life as well. Whenever I have trouble, she very quickly gets back to me. We do a good job planning our lessons together so that we're always well prepared to present information to our students. The students are also great, in my opinion. Of course, they are teenage university students, so they will behave as teenagers often behave. But I have been placed in the translation department. So naturally, these students are working towards being polyglots, and as such are more than willing to practice English in a classroom setting. Which is certainly better than I have had in some of my previous experiences in Saudi Arabia, China, or the Republic of Georgia, or even in the United States. The university's wonderful. I've been felt very welcome through the whole 2 months so far. Right now it's approaching Catholic Christmas, so I am kind of on hiatus. My students are taking exams, and I'm not responsible for any of their grading. So I'm just kind of on recess until classes resume in mid-January after Orthodox Christmas. Also, I have done some volunteering at the local Window on America. If you're unfamiliar with it, Window on America is a program with the U.S. State Department, which is working to with local participants to do materials in English. So they do like movie clubs, they do speaking clubs, they do game sessions, information sessions, and I've been doing a weekly speaking club with adult participants. It did get off to a bit of a rocky start, I can admit, because the program director looked up basically it was like a model UN scenario from the USA Diplomacy website, diplomacy.state.gov. There's a number of student materials for like model UN, and the materials were just too difficult for my students. Well, not students, participants. They're local community members who want to be there. So I had to dial it back and result now into more speaking-focused activities. So I'm using my table topics cards, which is a series of open-ended questions, like, and everyone gets a chance to speak and listen in these clubs now. So it's running much more smoothly now than at the beginning. So in a nutshell, that's my professional life. Everything's going well as far as the university goes. I have gotten no problems with Peace Corps. I've yet to go to another training that's coming in February, but I was asked if I would be interested in making some presentations there, as well as if I would be interested in helping up the safety and security team. So I seem to be fitting in well professionally with the university, of course, and the larger Peace Corps unit throughout the country. As far as my personal life goes, This country, Ukraine, is a bilingual country with both Ukrainian and Russian. I am in a Russian-speaking city, majority Russian-speaking. So my language process is slow, but it is still improving. I try to do some self-study practice every day. And of course, I have to, when I go out in the community for like haircuts or to buy groceries or something, I need to talk to people. So those are kind of specific scenarios. But I am still using self-study materials, minimum of 25 minutes a day, every day. And some days, like now, when I'm on recess and have so much free time, I do a lot more self-study. One problem with that, though, is Peace Corps does pay for a local language tutor, but I have thus far not been able to find one. I did have a couple of options, but one person wanted way too much money, and then we had some scheduling issues with a couple of other tutors. So that didn't quite work out yet, but I have some pretty good self-study materials. Peace Corps gives us several books, which are wonderful. I have listening materials for that as well. And of course, it's the 21st century, so there are all sorts of apps for learning languages. And of course, Russian is one of the big six. It's one of the largest languages in the world, so it's very easy to find self-study materials. But it's just me trying to go slowly through it as best as possible, making a lot of pronunciation mistakes and grammatical mistakes. But I'm understanding more and more as time goes on. My home life is good. Peace Corps has set me up with a babushka, which is a grandmother figure. Fortunately for me, she used to be a pediatric doctor, so she's very sweet. And she's also vegan. So I have had some delicious vegetarian food over the course of this time. The only problem with that is she pretty much overfeeds me, which is very common for the babushkas. And of course, she has been helping me with the language as well. It's generally more specific to what do you want to eat and what is the schedule like? When do you have lessons or going to work? Those kind of, again, specific situations. And another thing on my personal life is going to the gym. I continue my health journey. So I'm pretty much going to the gym 4 to 5 times a week, as much as possible. And while the scale doesn't seem to be moving, I am seeing results. My physique, I guess you would call it, is improving, and my belt has reached its final notch. So even if the scale's not moving, it seems that my waistline is. So my health is improving as far as that is going. Of course, everything has not been great everywhere, so to speak. There are always challenges with living and working abroad. Mine have been pretty minor, in my opinion. Fortunately, there is a good community of expats here. We have several other Peace Corps volunteers right in the city. Then there is also a Fulbright scholar working at my university. And pretty much almost every time I go to Window on America and do another volunteer lesson, I seem to get another new local contact. I'm willing to meet and help and move things along. One concern I have going forward in the near future is in the middle of January, right about when the semester comes up, I would be allowed to move out and live on my own. As of yet, I have not found any suitable housing, and I'm not entirely sure if I will find suitable housing. But my hostess is wonderful, and if she's willing to put up with me for a bit longer, I really wouldn't mind staying with her as well. Although most volunteers move out, some stay with their hosts. So we'll see what happens. I've got about a month left to kind of work on meshing all that out. One other thing that I would like to talk about is the city itself. To be honest, it reminds me a lot of my hometown of Flint. Mykolaiv used to be a city which focused on shipbuilding. It was pretty much where the Black Sea was built for the Russian Empire, and then after that, the Soviet Union. So, of course, since the fall of the USSR, the local economy has kind of dropped, just like in Flint after GM worked more and more factories to other locations. The economy in Flint went down. It also, I have to say, has a reputation. It's not quite as bad as Flint, but it has a reputation for being not so safe. But I have felt fine, but maybe it's just because I'm a tallish man, and I put on my brick face when I'm walking in public, so that any kind of ne'er-do-wells, if you want to call them that, would be discouraged from approaching me, shall we say. I also try to dress within the local limits, so I'm not like splashing out, throwing money around or anything like that. Mykolaiv also has a problem with bad roads, bad sidewalks, but they are working on these things. But these problems are kind of endemic to the country. Ukraine is kind of known for bad roads throughout Europe, and of course it is still a developing economy, but it does seem to be improving. I mean, since I have been here, the local currency, the hryvnia, has gone from almost 26 to the dollar to today I believe it's less than 23.5 to the dollar. Without much in the way of inflation. So the currency is strengthening in concerns of the global market. So perhaps we will see some economic improvements as well throughout the city. So in a nutshell, that has been my first couple of months here at site. I'm very happy and very lucky to have such a good professional atmosphere, both with my university, my placement, and with the Peace Corps itself. My personal life is going well. I'm still struggling with the language, as I probably will be for another 20-some weeks. And the city reminds me a lot of Flint. So thank you for listening. It was probably a little boring today. I'm sorry for that. My life really isn't that exciting. I'm just living and working. It just happens to be in a foreign country. So have a wonderful day.